No. Hello, everyone. I am Paula Ludwig with the Atlantic Institute. I want to welcome you to our cultural creations class, and we're going to do Valentine's cards and flowers with Catherine. The Atlantic Institute is a nonprofit organization who promotes positive dialogue between faiths, cultures, religions. Our vision is of a peaceful world, and we feel that having open and honest dialogue about everything is one way to go get there. I am going to show a 2-minute video about the Atlantic Institute, and if you're just coming in, you might be seeing that in the messages in the chat, everybody's putting where they're from. My bosses like to do event audits, and they like to see how far I'm reaching with these programs. And so if you would put in the event audit, or I'm in the chat, where you're from, city, state, country, if you're not in the US, we would very much appreciate that. Thank you. All right, now I'm going to share my screen.
The Atlantic Institute is a nonprofit organization dedicated to promoting harmonious coexistence between peoples of various cultures, faiths, and backgrounds. We seek this goal through peaceful dialogue, education initiatives, and community organization. Our dialogue events bring together experts, community and faith leaders, and knowledge seekers to address social issues that affect us all. We feel dialogue is the most important element in peaceful coexistence, so we try and maintain several panel discussions, TED Talk events, and book clubs throughout the year. These events touch on social issues, race relations, and cultural understanding, and are a mainstay of our program. The Atlantic Institute's education events are extremely important to our mission of understanding. We want to promote socially forward critical thinking to students of all ages. To that end, we have developed programs that seek to grow the creative spirit of students and help them think about their communities and the world around them. Our Future Leaders of Dialogue event brings together nominated elite students to learn from each other, as well as political and business leaders. Our art and essay contest gives students a theme about important societal issues and allows them to create wonderful works of art and writing while steering their minds towards improving their world. We're always seeking ways to educate youth and adults in order to make a peaceful world for all of us. Our community events are designed to transform neighbors into friends and groups of people into a community. By associating with other nonprofits or by our own initiative, we are always trying to discover new avenues to improve our neighborhoods, places of worship, and community centers. We host cooking demonstrations of food from other cultures, work with various nonprofits to help elevate the work of others, and try to find a way to make the lives of those who are disenfranchised or marginalized better. Building a more peaceful world starts in our backyards, so we are dedicated to improving our communities and associations. The Atlantic Institute is always seeking like-minded volunteers and collaborators. If you would like to learn more, find volunteer opportunities, or just want to chat with our staff, please visit our website at www.atlanticinstitutesc.org or follow us on Facebook. We will never run out of fun, educational, peaceful events. So come, join us to help make this world a better place full of understanding and unity.
All right. So let me figure out how to get out of this. Stop share. There we go. All right. Thank you, everyone, for watching that. I am now going to turn this over to our instructor for the day. And I want to thank Catherine Martin for doing this again. And she's going to talk a little bit about the organization she's with. And Catherine, it is all yours. I'm going to put you to the spotlight.
Hello, everyone. My name is Catherine Martin. I run the virtual programs for Generation Connection. Generation Connection is an online business that offers virtual programming. So we run special events for adults online, and we have a weekly play group that we run each Saturday. So I'm going to put the link to our Facebook in the chats in case anyone here wants to keep an eye on our upcoming events. We do have a kids crafting class tomorrow, if anyone wants to look into registering for that. Today, though, everything's a little bit more, I made some more tricky crafts than I usually make for the kids. I've got these paper flowers made from tissue paper. And we also are going to be making these cards with some 3D elements. We've got the heart, and then inside there's the pop-up, I love you. So to get started, I wanted to make sure everyone has access to the template we're going to be using for the card. It was in the Eventbrite, but I want to just make sure everyone can access the link. So I put it in the chats because we're going to be working with this template to make the Valentine's cards. Does everyone have the template, or has anyone had any issues? You can put in the chats if you're having trouble getting the template. But the first craft I was thinking we would work with is the tissue paper flowers. So to get started on those, you need 2 pieces of tissue paper in any color you choose. So I'm using pink because I already have a purple. You might want to make a few of these to decorate for Valentine's Day. So we just start with 2 pieces, and then we're going to fold them up to make the multiple layers for the petals. So we have our 2 pieces back to back. And we're going to fold it in half because we want multiple layers. So we'll fold it in half lengthwise. And it doesn't have to be too exact because we're going to trim it once we're done. And then we want to fold it a second time so that we have one long strip. And then we'll fold over a third and final time. So if anyone has any questions so far, let me know in case I'm going too fast with the steps.
Do we put the 2 colors inside each other? Did the 2 of them go together?
Yes. So you have them back to back.
Yeah.
And then you fold them together.
Lengthways. Like
3 times. So we go 3 pieces until we have kind of like a wide rectangle.
Okay.
They're wanting you to do it from the folding from the beginning, if possible.
Yes, I can show the folding again, just to make sure everybody's got it. Okay, So we have our full sheet with the 2 pieces layered up. Then we're going to fold it in half lengthwise. And just make sure it's got nice crease here. Then we're going to fold it in half again to make one long strip. And then we'll fold it a 3rd time in half, this time going the opposite direction. So we have kind of like a wide rectangle here. Is that good for everybody? Or should I show it one more time just to make sure? We good?
One more time, please.
One more time? Okay. Okay. So we have our full piece. I'll hold it back a bit so it's a bit easier to see. All right, so we've got our full piece. We fold it in half. Whoop. Okay. Then we have it like this, so it's kind of a large rectangle, and we'll fold it over to make a really long rectangle. And then we'll fold it one more time in half to shorten it a bit. So we have it like this. Okay.
I don't think my paper is as big as yours.
Well, it's all right if your paper isn't quite as big. What we're really trying for here is just to have multiple layers. So you see, once we've folded it up, we get a bunch of layers going on here. You can use, some people use like the whole sheet and just use like 12 layers of tissue paper to make really big flowers. What we're trying for right now is to just make a bunch of layers at the side. So it's not too precise. We just want to make it, so let's see how much we ended up here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, so it ends up with 16 layers of tissue paper here. So even if you don't have as large tissue paper or as many pieces, we just want to make sure that we have multiple layers. So even if you only have one sheet of tissue paper, you don't have many to choose from today, you can just like slice it into pieces and make sure we have multiple layers. Okay? So what we want to do from here is we want to get a square out of our paper. So a really good trick for that is to just fold in one of the corners to make a triangle like this, so that we can get our square relatively close to exact. But it doesn't have to be, because once we ruffle up the petals, nothing shows. It's a really good craft for covering up any mistakes I've found. So we fold over to make a triangle, and then we just cut off the edges, making sure we cut off the folds too, because we don't want any folds once we've started. So I'm just going to cut along here. And we'll just make sure we cut off any edges we folded so that they don't get in the way while we're working on our craft. Then you'll see you'll have multiple layers here, and we want to unfold it again into our square shape. And so you see it's a little bit imprecise, but that doesn't matter. So if you find it doesn't turn out quite the way you'd hoped, it's all going to get covered up once we're working. So is everyone good with this step? We just mainly, all we want right here is to get ourselves a square with multiple layers of tissue paper. I noticed I've got a couple folds, so I'm just gonna cut off a little extra. Because the folds will make it so our petals can't uncurl once we're done. So just double check, make sure you don't have any pieces that are folded up like this. We want the edges loose. Okay, is everyone good for the next step? Or are there any questions? Okay, we're good. All right. So now, if any of you have ever like helped your kid with making paper fans before, with an accordion fold, we're going to be doing that to our tissue paper, to all of the pieces together. Oh, I see in the chat someone's not quite sure of our current step. I'll just explain what we want right now. Is a square. Doesn't have to be too precise, but we want a square that's 16 sheets of tissue paper. So 16 layers, all chopped into a square. Okay, and then once we have our layers, we're going to start folding. So we fold a little bit at the top forward. And then we flip it around and we fold it again. And we keep going till we get to the very end. So it's like you're making a paper fan. So just go back and forth until we've gone through the whole sheet. And again, don't worry if your lines aren't quite precise, because it adds a little bit more character to your flowers once you're done. So just keep going through. All
So
right.
can I ask what the measurement of your square is?
The measurement of the square actually doesn't matter too much. It all depends on the size of you want your flower to be.
Okay.
Some people
thank you.
use like full sheets of tissue paper and cut out giant squares to make big flower walls. And mine is tinier. It's about probably like 7 by 7-ish. So it's to make a small flower. I see in the chats, can you use crepe paper? Yes, you can, as long as it's like really thin paper to make the delicate little petals. So once we have our accordion, we can move on to the next step. So did I answer the question well for the size? You don't have to be too precise with the size.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you.
Okay, good. All right. So everyone can work a bit on the accordion fold. And for our next step, we're going to need a little bit of string. Some people who don't have string available do use staples. So if you don't have string or yarn, you can staple right in the center. Staples sometimes make me a little nervous. So
rubber band.
Yes, a rubber band would work too. All we want to do is make sure that the center of our flower is fastened really well. So if you're using string, you want to make sure you tie it multiple times. When I was doing test runs of this, my string came undone partially through, and you do not want that to happen, because then your flower comes undone. So you just want to make sure you fasten the center really well. And from here on out, it's pretty simple. We just get to make the petals, which is really easy. It looks super complicated, but it's actually really fun and simple. So just make sure the center is really well connected with whatever you're using. a rubber band or string or yarn or staple. Whatever you use, just make sure it's not going to come undone while you're pulling on the petals. Okay. So I've got mine all tied up in the center. So from here on out, things are really easy. Oh, okay, good. I'm seeing people have their accordions connected. Awesome. Does anyone have any questions or are we good?
The pieces of paper, do the edges all need to be cut? Because like I folded it over. Do I need to cut those edges open?
Once you've done the accordion fold, you don't have to do any more cutting. So to finish up the flower, all we're going to do is we're going to pull each individual layer towards the center of the flower. So you don't need to cut. We're just going to pull each layer up towards the center. That's why it's really important to fasten the center so it doesn't unravel. We'll just make sure, so you pull it as close to the center as you can, and every single layer. So, and sometimes a layer might get stuck and rip a little, but that is not a problem because it will be hidden once you have pulled the layers up. Another thing that some people do, which you can choose to use for your craft or not use, is they'll take their scissors and they'll cut just a little curve at the end to make the petals rounded. But for this one, I'm just doing the individual layers. So it's up to you how you want to style. And from here on in, that's all you do. You just keep going until you've brought every layer up. Make a flower. It can be a little smidge time consuming, but in the end, it looks really cool. And if you want, so this is going to be flat on the back. Like, I'll show you my finished version. So just flat on the back. Some people like to hang them up on their walls or like attach them to cards. But if you want to like make a full ball, you can just make two and stick them together. So from here on in, straight to the finish line, we just fold up our petals. Does anyone have any questions about this, or are we good?
Catherine, I think I saw on your other one that the tips were kind of colored. Do you do that before or after you bring them up?
The curves or the for the petals?
Curves. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you want curved petals, all you do is with your accordion fold, you just take your scissors and you cut a curved line at the end of each row.
No,
but if you want to,
it looks like it's colored.
Oh, no, they're not colored in. I think it's just the way the shadows fall.
Okay.
So once they're all bunched together, it gets kind of shadowy.
It kind of looks like you had taken a dark purple marker and like did the edges of them or something. So
no, I didn't, but that would be pretty cool. For doing that sort of thing, you'd probably want to color the ends before you start folding them up.
Before you start folding. Yeah, because it would take less time then. That makes more sense.
Yeah. So then once they're all folded up, they would have little tips.
Yep.
Okay. So while everyone's working on finishing up their flowers, I'm going to set mine aside and I'm going to open up a presentation to share with you that I thought was pretty cool. I found some fun facts about flower meanings. So flowers, when you give them to someone, can have like this whole language. So a lot of people know like red roses are often associated with romance and saying I love you. But a lot of other flowers have these hidden meanings that you might not be so familiar with. So let me just put this in slideshow. And I will explain some of the meanings of flowers. Okay, and I have the link down here at the bottom. I'll share it in the chats once we're done. And it's where I got my info from. So red roses, of course, mean I love you. But then when you change the color, yellow roses mean jealousy or a decrease of love. So if you're giving someone roses to be romantic, you want to avoid the yellow ones. Pink roses mean happiness. Red tulips mean passion, declaration of love. So they're kind of like the red roses in that way. Amaryllis mean pride. Calla lilies, beauty. Lily of the valley is sweetness and humility. Orange lily means hatred. So that's another one you'd want to avoid with your flower giving. White lilies are purity. Yellow lilies, happiness or walking on air. Lilacs, joy of youth. Pink carnations mean I'll never forget you. Red carnations, my heart aches. White carnations are innocence, pure love, and a woman's good luck gift. But here we have the yellow with issues again. Yellow carnations mean disdain, disappointment, and rejection. Red chrysanthemums are I love you. Clematis is mental beauty. Columbine is foolishness. Daisies represent innocence, loyal love, and I'll never tell. Purple hyacinths look really pretty, but they mean sorrow. White hyacinths, loveliness, prayers for someone. And here, yellow hyacinths, jealousy. Irises, faith, trust, wisdom, hope, and valor. So the irises have lots of good meanings. Lavender is distrust. And myrtle is good luck, love in marriage. So those are just a few of the different plant meanings. I'll get our link for you in case anyone wants to check out some more meanings.
Okay, hands and blood on. Huh.
Can you come over here for a sec and help me tie this? It's not getting tight enough.
There we are. Oh, I see in the chat someone said yellow roses is not for a grandmother is ill. They may. It could be that some people have different meanings. The almanac I was reading from seemed to find that yellow flowers were a bad sign when you were giving them out. But it could be that other people have translated them differently because it's kind of like a language and, you know, there are different variations in how people pronounce things differently. So some people might have different meanings for the flowers. but I've put the link to the almanac in the chats in case anyone wants to get some more information. All right, now how is everyone doing with their flowers? Do we have finished flowers? Oh, I see a nice purple one. Oh, we've
Could
got
you
some
just
great.
show how you separate the layers of tissue paper again, please?
Oh, yeah, sure. So all you do is, so you've got your accordion folds and you just grab the top layer and sort of inch it to the center. So you just want to kind of smush it up to the middle. It doesn't have to be too fancy, and you can fluff it once it's all together. Oh, I see a nice pink flower. Awesome. Okay. Oh, more flowers, a white flower, and I think I see a red flower. Very great. I love seeing everyone's finished flowers. Oh, I see in the chat someone's flower turned out a bit wonky. If your flower's a bit wonky, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, green flowers, awesome. Oh, I like the and green and blue, the multicolored, very nice. Everyone's done a great job.
This is the wonky one.
Oh, sorry, which one's the wonky one?
The green and blue. The blue
Oh,
and yellow.
Oh no, I think it looks good. It's a bit small on my screen, but I like the different shades going on.
Yeah, but it's not floral.
Oh, sorry. Maybe the next one. Okay, so for the next craft, for anyone who's ready, this one I found it could get a little smidge complicated with the template. So for the template, if everyone has their template ready, you want to make sure that you don't cut anywhere where it says not to. So on the top of the template, it had little lines to show you which ones to cut and not to cut. But I wanted to show everyone how I cut out my template for a bit more of a visual. So the center of the heart is gone at around the edges. And then you just cut a line at the bottom. Then we cut the edges of the I and the U. And the center of the U has a little piece gone at the bottom, but the rest is just lines. So then if you're tired of cutting by the time you have your template cut out, you can use the template inside your card. I got a little tricky and I traced it onto some purple paper so that it would kind of show up against my white. But you don't have to do that if you don't want to. You can just work with the template. And you can even decorate the template if you want some more color. So all you do for this step is you take your template. You want to glue inside your card. So it's kind of hard to glue this certain pieces of the template without having them sticking in areas you don't want. So if you just take your glue stick and you glue the whole bottom and the whole top in the area where your template's going to go, then you can stick it down. So let's see here. I'm going to get a piece of paper, work with my template, and I can kind of show you what I mean. So we want a piece of paper folded in half card style. And then our template needs some folding. We want to fold at the top, right here. And then there's another line, it's kind of faint, right near the top of your heart. So we'll fold right there. And then the U, you want to fold in the same area across. So if your lines show up well enough for you to see, that's great. My lines are a bit faint, but I know that I want to line up with the top of my heart. So when we're gluing down our pieces, oh, and we want to fold at the bottom of the U. So we have a fold at the top of the I in the U, and then we fold at the bottoms of the letters too. I found that with the template, my heart was kind of rubbing on the bottom. So I gave it just a little tiny trim to make sure it fits well when I stick it in my card. So I'm going to give it a little trim on my template. Just a tiny little shave off the end. Okay. So we have our template like this. So then you see there's a lot going on with the folds. So we don't want to get too crazy with gluing the template. So I'm going to get my card, and instead of going crazy with gluing the template, I'm going to go crazy with gluing the card. So I'm going to glue a large portion of the bottom, not the top yet, because I don't want my glue to dry while I'm working. So it's a bit hard to see, but I've glued the center. I'm going to take my template and put the tips here right near the center of the card. So those areas we want attached. We want to make sure that the I, the U, and the heart don't get glued down, because otherwise they won't pop up for us later. So you just press down. And if any areas don't stick too well, just add a bit more glue to your card, because we want to make sure nothing's going to come undone while we're moving it. Okay. So we have our bottom glued down. Now we just want to put a whole bunch of glue on the back. And again, we want to make sure our letters and our heart do not get glued down. So plenty of glue, so nothing has a problem sticking. And then here it's a little bit trickier, because we're going to push back, make sure the I doesn't stick, and we want to pull the backing away from the letters. So the U has the center, we don't want attached to the U anymore. We want it glued down, but not the U itself. So I'll flatten everything. And make sure the letters do not get stuck. All right. Then we want to make sure all our folds are still working well for us. And then we have our pop out, I love you. So mainly it's just a matter of making sure we get the pieces cut out and everything stuck really well to the card, except for these pop out pieces. So then you can close the card, and when you open it up, if you're giving it to someone, they'll get a little surprise pop up.
Do you need to let it dry And what's the best way to let it dry if you do?
To let it dry, if you're using a glue stick, it should dry pretty quickly. But if you're worrying about it sticking together, you'd probably want to prop it up somewhere where it can stay open, like maybe against a book or something to hold it up so that your letters don't accidentally end up stuck to the back of your card. So you see, I'm a big fan of purple. So I made my card purple. But if you're working with the template, you might want to use a colorful background so that your design really pops. Does anyone have any questions about the template? Are we good? Good. Okay. Awesome.
What way are we gluing it inside the card? Like say, if that's the fold,
Yes.
what way do we put it in then?
If that's the fold, then you want to put it inside your card right near the center.
Fold there, right at the fold in the center. Yeah.
So
okay.
if you flatten it out, your template will be about in the center.
Okay.
And then you just want to make sure that down here, it lines up with the fold.
Yeah. Perfect.
Where is the template located? Because I couldn't find it in the emails I got.
I will put it in the chats again. Some people have trouble getting to it. It was on the Eventbrite supply list, but I'll just put it in the links. There you go. It should be, you should be able to access it from the chats now.
Thank you.
Awesome. Okay. All right, so another thing for your card that you might want to put on the outside of your pop-up card, or you might want to make a whole new card for this, is the sort of 3D heart. This is another pretty simple one. To get started with it, you want to make a heart template for yourself. So if you have a piece of paper, you just fold it in half, and then you draw half a heart on the paper. And when you unfold it, you'll have a symmetrical heart. So it's a good trick for keeping things symmetrical. I'll show everyone. If you're going for a tiny heart, which is kind of good if you're using it for a decoration on a card, you can just fold a piece of your paper. Then you'll make a heart shape. Just the half a heart, and cut it out while it's still folded so that your paper is symmetrical on both sides. Because I don't know about everyone else, but I have a bit of trouble drawing a heart that's even on both sides. So if you want the heart shape, that's a really good trick. Then we want 8 of these hearts. So you can take your paper that you were working with and fold it in half. You might want to trace it out 8 times, or if you want a little bit of a time-saving trick, you can fold your paper up and kind of get yourself some quicker cutting by layering it. So if you just fold your paper into multiple layers and trace your heart on top, I need my smaller heart for this one. There we go. Then you can trace it on top and cut out multiple hearts at the same time. So what we want is about 8 matching hearts. It's okay if you want a few less. It just depends on how full you want your 3D heart to be. So everyone just needs a few hearts to work with, like this. So while everyone's working on that, I'm going to bring up a little thing to share about Valentine history that I'll read for a few minutes while everyone's getting caught up with their hearts. And then it's pretty simple to finish the hearts once you have your matching ones. Oh, I see in the chat someone's looking for templates for other designs. What I find for when I'm looking for templates is that it's really good to look on Pinterest. Pinterest has a ton of crafting ideas. It's awesome. So if you want some card templates, if you go to Pinterest and just look up free card templates, you'll probably get some great options, or Valentine ideas. And I saw someone wants to see the inside of my cardigan. So this is what it looks like. Awesome. Okay. So here we have some information that's through Google Arts and Culture about Valentines. I'll just read for a couple minutes while everyone's working a bit more on their cards. And then it'll be pretty simple to put together the hearts once everyone's all set. So let's see, lovebirds. During the medieval period, a popular folk belief held that birds selected their mates in February, as documented by poet Geoffrey Chaucer in his Valentine poem, The Parliament of Fowls. On Valentine's Day in England, young men selected their Valentines by drawing lots, and the young woman chosen would remain a man's Valentine through the ensuing year. So they would do a draw for their Valentine. Valentine's Day bounces back. In their quest to purify the Christian church, the Puritans under Oliver Cromwell abolished all holidays, including Valentine's Day. Following the restoration of the English monarchy in 1660, however, Valentine's Day made a resurgence. The holiday took on a commercial dimension, as gentlemen were expected to give Valentine gifts such as gloves and garters, not the flowers and chocolates we expect today, to their sweethearts. Oops, went a little far there. Postal progress. In 1840, the British Parliament instituted mail delivery throughout England at a flat rate of a penny, and the expense of mailing a letter could be prepaid using a new device, the postage stamp. The low cost and efficient delivery of mail, along with the adoption of envelopes that allowed privacy, helped encourage the sending of Valentines in England, and likewise in the United States, which implemented similar postal policies. Crafting cards. Heartfelt sentiment was sometimes inspired the creation of handmade Valentine cards, or original written romantic messages, whether in prose or poetry. Recipients have often treated those Valentines as treasured keepsakes, and a select few have survived to enter museum collections. In 1667, famous diarist Samuel Pepys described a handmade Valentine card to his wife from little Will Mercer, who brought her name writ upon blue paper in gold letters done by himself. Very pretty, and we were both well pleased with it. Unromantically, Pepys then lamented, "But I am also my wife's Valentine, and it will cost me £5." Heartfelt and handmade. Handmade valentines could be incredibly elaborate, as seen in this greeting made about 1835. Its ornate calligraphy and colorful embellishment typifies the folk art style known as fracture, for the fractured or angular Gothic font, favored by Pennsylvanian Germans at the time. However, most people did not have either the initiative or the skill to create Valentine cards, thereby creating a market opportunity that printers increasingly addressed. Enhancing romance. In the early 19th century, writing paper moved away from being exclusively plain, as stationers offered styles with ornamental edges and decorative printed designs. A suitably romantic message could then be inscribed, expressing the writer's ardent affection. Valentine writer's block. When Valentine's Day came around, many people found themselves with serious writer's block, incapable of expressing the emotions in their hearts. The solution? A genre of books known as Valentine writers offered rhymes to suit a wide variety of circumstances. Pursuing your plumber? Attracted to a shop girl? These books supplied everything tongue-tied romantics needed to express their desires. Many Valentines came with blank interiors, another reason that suitors turned to Valentine writer books for prefab poetry. Card senders could also turn to printed messages that they could paste into their chosen card. Okay, and I am taking the link here to put in the chat because there's way more history. And I think some of you might find it interesting. It goes way back from the Middle Ages through to modern times. And I'm going to show off how to do the heart craft. So what we do with our hearts now is we take all of them and we fold them in half. So we go through our whole pile and we make sure they're all folded in half. And you can do 8, or if you want a few less or a few more, that's fine too. It's up to you and how full you want your heart to be. So once we have our hearts folded in half, we're going to take 1/2 and glue it. So we have it well glued, and we're going to take another heart that's folded in half and stick it on top. Then we're going to do the same thing again. And we're going to go through our stack of hearts, gluing each layer down. So you glue each side. You just glue it and make a large stack. And you want to make sure they match up fairly well. Whoops. So that all the pieces are together here in the center. So once you have your stack of hearts, from there on, you just unfold at the edges. So you might find you get a little sticky while putting these together. Okay, So you have your stack with everything glued. And I'll just show again what we're doing. We're just gluing one side and then taking another folded heart and attaching it. And then press it down really well because you want everything stuck together. Okay. And then what we do is we just unfold the very edges. And it's going to be pretty delicate. So we'll have our heart. And if you want it just like this, then that would be your final step. But if you want to attach it to decorate a Valentine card, we're going to fold it back up and we'll glue the backs. This time we want each side. So we'll glue really well. Because we don't want it falling off our card. So then we'll take it and we'll stick one side down, press really hard, and then we'll just unfold the other side like that. And then you can kind of fluff it up to give it a bit more volume, like so. And then from then on, you can go crazy with your decorating. I found these shiny stickers to decorate my card, but then it makes a really good centerpiece, the 3D aspect, and you can still stick it in an envelope if you just fold it back down, stick it in the envelope, and then when it comes out of the envelope, it can unfurl again. So is everyone good with that? Any questions before we finish up today? No, we're good. Okay, awesome.
Wait a minute. Can I see the pop-up just one more time?
The pop-up template for the center.
Inside the card.
There we
Okay,
go.
great. I thought I didn't do it right. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, thank you, everyone.
Catherine, remind me where your organization is again?
My organization is in Ontario. It's Generation Connection. So all of our activities are virtual. So we kind of can connect with anyone, anywhere. And everything's online. I'll put my Facebook in the chats again, in case anyone missed it. A lot of our events, we like to host free events, and sometimes we do partner up with nonprofit organizations. Like we've had a few events with a humane society in Ontario. So we often do free crafting classes, and sometimes we have special events like magic shows or virtual zoo tours.
Got it. That is awesome. And we very much thank you.
You're welcome.
Are you going to send us the replay, the recording?
We are going, so the recording is going to be on the Atlantic Institute SC YouTube channel. And I've just put that in the chat there. So our recording will be there. You can also check out our website, the Atlantic Institute, South Carolina. We do all sorts of different programs. I have crafts set up for all year. I think the last two, November, December, I don't quite have on Eventbrite yet if you're one of my Eventbrite people. But we do also an event called Cuisine of Different Cultures, if you'd like to learn about food from other cultures. We also have past recordings of those on our YouTube channel as well. The Atlantic Institute is all about dialogue in different forms, and so we do also have dialogue events. And I strongly say go to our Atlantic Institute YouTube channel and like it, and you can see all the different things we've done. And this one, hopefully, I'm going to try and get my lady that puts it onto YouTube. Hopefully it'll be on there tonight or tomorrow morning, but I think she has COVID. So it's if she's not sleeping, because that seems to be the best thing for everybody. But I want to thank everybody for coming. If you haven't done it and you still would like to, if you would put where you're from, we do what we call event audits. You can just put it in the chat. And if you want to do it just to me, that is fine. City, state, country would be awesome. And I want to thank everybody for coming. Thank you, Catherine, for doing this. And I really appreciate your organization and what you guys are doing as well. Because just by learning about different things, we now understand. So, and I'm going to stop recording now.
Thank you so much for organizing this class. It's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you everyone for coming.
Thank
I'm going
you.
to put again in the chats the educational resources I used, just in case anyone wants to check those out.
Thanks, Catherine.
You're welcome.
And thank you, Atlanta.